And a pleasure to have you here. Abia State Governor Alex Otti has publicly praised President Bola Ahmed Tinubu for removing the fuel subsidy and floating the naira, describing two economic decisions as some of the boldest policy reforms undertaken by any Nigerian leader in recent years. Speaking during the visit of First Lady Senator Oluremi Tinubu to Abia State, Otti argued that although the reforms have brought short-term economic difficulties, they were necessary to put Nigeria's economy on a stronger foundation. His remark comes at a time when the country's economic policies continue to generate intense debate across supporters and critics alike.
Some people may not understand. It takes a man with courage to do what he did in 2023, remove petroleum subsidy, and follow suit with the floating of the naira. What has that done? That has freed up a lot of funds that would have been used in financing consumption to doing other things in the federal government, in the states, and in the local governments. And today, a lot of states are not owing salaries. A lot of states are able to build infrastructure. A lot of states are able to empower people to produce rather than consume.
Governor Otti made the comments while welcoming the First Lady during her visit to promote the historic Akwete weaving heritage in Ukwa East local government area. Rather than focusing solely on the cultural events, the governor used the opportunity to send a personal message to President Tinubu. He asked the First Lady to convey his appreciation to the President, saying that the decision taken in 2023 required exceptional political courage because they involved policies that many Nigerian leaders would have been reluctant to implement due to their immediate impact on ordinary citizens. According to Otti, removing the fuel subsidy and allowing the naira float were not politically convenient decisions, but economic reforms designed to correct long-standing structural problems within Nigeria's economy. He stated that difficult reforms often attract criticism in the early stages, but citizens immediately experience higher prices and increased living costs before any long-term benefits becomes visible. In his view, strong leadership sometimes requires unpopular choices when they are believed to be in the country's long-term interests. The Abia governor argued that one of the most important outcomes of the reforms have been the increase in government revenues across all levels. He explained that funds previously spent on subsidizing fuel are now available for development projects, salary payments, and infrastructure. According to him, many state governments are now in a stronger financial position to meet their obligations, construct public infrastructure, and invest in programs that encourage productivity rather than continued dependence on government finance consumption. He suggested that this fiscal improvement could help create a more sustainable economy over time. While defending the reforms, Otti did not deny that Nigerians are currently facing economic hardship. Instead, he acknowledged that the major policy changes often come with painful consequences during the adjustment period. He maintained that every courageous economic decision has costs, particularly when government attempts to reverse policies that have existed for many years. According to the governor, inflationary pressures and the rising cost of living are among the short-term effects expected when an economy undergoes significant structural changes. However, Otti offered a different interpretation of the hardship currently affecting many Nigerians. He argued that today's economic difficulties should not be viewed solely as a result of the recent government policies, but as the accumulated consequences of years of unsustainable economic practices. In his assessment, previous economic decisions delayed necessary reforms while allowing deeper structural weaknesses to develop within Nigeria's economy. As a result, he believes the current administration is confronting problems that have built over several years rather than creating entirely new ones. The governor's remarks add another voice to the ongoing national conversation surrounding President Tinubu's economic agenda. Since assuming office, the administration had defended its decision to remove fuel subsidies and liberalize the foreign exchange market, arguing that both measures were essential to stabilize public finances, improve investor confidence, and reduce economic distortions. Government officials have consequently maintained that although the reforms are difficult, they are intended to create a stronger and more competitive economy capable of delivering sustainable growth in the future. Critics, however, continue to argue that the reforms have significantly increased the cost of living for millions of Nigerians. Rising fuel prices, higher transportation costs, food inflation and currency depreciation have placed considerable pressure on households and businesses across the country. Many Nigerians have expressed concern that the expected benefits of the reforms have yet to translate into meaningful improvements in their daily lives. Labor unions, civil society organizations, and opposition figures have repeatedly called for the additional measures to cushion the impact on vulnerable citizens. Supporters of the reform counter that reversing the policies would recreate the same economic problems that existed before 2023. They argue that subsidy payments consume enormous public resources while encouraging inefficiency and limiting government investment in critical sectors such as infrastructure, healthcare, and education. From this perspective, the short-term difficulties represent an unavoidable adjustment period before the economy begins to recover and generate broader opportunities for businesses and individuals. Governor Otti's endorsement is particularly significant because it comes from a state governor outside the ruling All Progressive Congress. His comments suggest that support for some aspect of the federal government's economic reforms extend beyond party lines, even as political disagreements continue on national issues. Whether Nigerians ultimately judge these reforms as successful will depend largely on whether they promise improvements in economic growth, job creation, investment and living standards become visible over the coming years. Until then, the debate over fuel subsidy removal, the floating of naira, and the broader directions of Nigeria's economy is likely to remain one of the country's most closely watched political and economic decisions. Share your thoughts in the comments below. If you find this report informative, please like this video, subscribe to our channel so you never miss our latest updates in Nigeria and worldwide. I'm Chimezrim Okoro, and thanks for watching.